Mama, will I ever run again? Dessa Hartwell stopped folding laundry. She set down the small shirt in her hands very carefully, the way you set down something fragile, and turned to look at her son. Caleb was 4 years old, sitting propped against 2 pillows on the couch, his thin legs still beneath the blanket she'd tucked around him that morning. His eyes were serious in the way only a child's eyes can be, asking a real question, expecting a real answer. She crossed the room and sat beside him. She tucked a curl behind his ear. "I don't know, baby," she said honestly, "but I know you're going to do things that'll make people stop and stare." "That I'm sure of," he seemed to consider this. Then he nodded, satisfied in the way children are when they trust you completely. He leaned his head against her arm and she held very still, not wanting to break it. Dessa was 30 years old. She worked the morning shift at a laundromat on Birch Avenue, the evening shift at a grocery store 4 blocks east, and 3 weekends a month cleaning offices in a building downtown. She did all of this quietly, without complaint, because Caleb's spinal condition had taken his ability to walk steadily at age 3, and the wheelchair the specialist recommended cost more than 4 months of her combined income. Insurance covered a portion. The portion left over felt like a wall. She had a jar on the kitchen counter. She added to it every week. She did not count it in front of Caleb. The medical supply store on Renner Street was called Crestline Mobility. Dessa had been in 3 times, once to ask questions, once to sit Caleb in the display model and watch his face go bright with something close to joy, and once simply to look at the price tag again, as though it might have changed. It hadn't. On a Tuesday in late October, she went in a 4th time. She brought Caleb. She told herself it wasn't cruelty. She just wanted him to feel included in something that was being built for him. They were in the aisle between the display models, when a man entered the store behind them. He was 33, tall, in a jacket that was good but not showy. His name was Reed Calloway. He ran a mid-sized logistics company that he had built from almost nothing over 8 years. And he had come to Crestline Mobility because his company donated adaptive equipment to families twice a year, and he preferred to handle the selection himself. He almost didn't notice them. Then he heard Caleb say, very quietly and very seriously, to no one in particular, "This one's the fastest. I can tell." Reed stopped walking. He watched the little boy run one small hand along the wheel of a pediatric chair, his expression one of complete and careful evaluation, like a person inspecting something they intend to treasure. And he watched the woman beside him, her hand resting gently on the boy's back, her eyes holding a particular kind of tired that has nothing to do with sleep. He had seen that tired before. In the mirror, 8 months ago, after his son Marcus had passed. Marcus had been 6. A condition present from birth, managed carefully for years, and then not manageable anymore. Reed had donated the adaptive equipment Marcus never got to use to 3 different families. It was the only thing that helped. He stood in the aisle for a moment, then walked to the store counter quietly. What happened next, Dessa did not witness directly. She was helping Caleb climb carefully back out of the display chair, promising him they'd figure it out, using the word soon and meaning it with everything she had. The store clerk approached her 10 minutes later with an expression she couldn't immediately read. "Ma'am, the chair your son was looking at. It's been taken care of, fully, delivery included." Dessa stared at her. "I'm sorry?" "A gentleman. He left before I could. He said he didn't want a conversation about it. He just left this. It was a folded piece of notepaper." Dessa opened it with hands that weren't entirely steady. "My son loved wheels, too. He never got the one he wanted. Please let yours have this one. R." She stood in the middle of Crestline Mobility and pressed the note to her mouth and breathed. Caleb tugged her sleeve. "Mama, you okay?" She looked down at him. She nodded. She couldn't speak for a moment. "Somebody was very kind to us today," she finally said. Caleb tilted his head. "Why?" "Because—" She folded the note carefully. "Because they remembered what it felt like to love someone." The chair arrived on a Friday. It was pediatric-sized, lightweight, with red accents that Caleb had pointed at in the showroom. Dessa assembled it in the living room while he watched with the focused attention of someone overseeing important work. When it was ready, she helped him into it. He gripped the wheels. He pushed forward once, then twice, then in a slow, proud circle around the coffee table. He looked up at her with an expression she would keep for the rest of her life. "Mama," he said. "I'm fast." "You are," she said. "You really are." She laughed and wiped her eyes and let him circle the room again. 6 months later, through the medical supply store's records and a staff member who remembered the name, Dessa found a mailing address. She sent a letter, handwritten, 2 pages, with a drawing Caleb had made of a boy in a red wheelchair going very fast, labeled in 4-year-old handwriting, "For the man who helped." She didn't know if Reed Calloway would write back. She didn't send it expecting anything. She sent it because Caleb had asked her to, and because some kindnesses deserved to be witnessed. Reed kept the drawing. He framed it. He hung it in his office above his desk, where he could see it every morning when he sat down to begin the day. He never explained it to anyone who asked. He simply said, "Someone reminded me that kindness travels further than we think." A single jar on a kitchen counter. A stranger who stayed only long enough to do one quiet, irreversible good. A little boy in a red wheelchair, going fast. Sometimes the greatest gifts aren't given by people who have everything. They're given by people who remember what it means to lose something, and choose anyway to love. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.